Let's start the video with a small note. That is, when there is a change or correction to what is presented in this video, we will update it in the description. So please keep checking the description as well before you proceed to the video so that you will know what are the latest changes. Okay, now let's move on. Welcome to TestTube, the knowledge feast. In this channel, we create the content that educate others. The mission is basically to gather like-minded people of different platforms and create variety of content at one place. So if you are also want to be a part of it from any corner in the world, please drop an email to sharetesttube@gmail.com. Previously, we have discussed about how to do basic automation using snippets feature in the Postman. Right now, we'll discuss about how to do parameterization. And before we do that, first of all, let's go through the test cases. So in any project, there will be test cases. So from now onwards, we are going to learn the concepts by the problem. So the problem is that you have to automate a list of test cases. So these are the list of test cases collected that are common in any automation project. Okay, so we learn the automation by the help of test cases. And by now we have already covered some of the test cases, so I'll mark them as completed. So any test case format will look like this. The test case will have a name and the description, steps, expected result, actual result. So that's the common template for a test case sheet, but I am not keeping all the columns, so let me hide them. I'm just keeping only these two columns, and what you're going to learn with each concept is something what I'm trying to keep it here. Okay, so in the previous sessions we have already seen like how to validate the status code of given request. So this test case verifies that, this test case verifies the response is as per the expected format or not. So here we have automated the most common validations using the snippets that is done. This test case verifies the response headers are as expected or not, so such as validating content type, connection, cache control. So with the previous knowledge which you got from basic automation through snippets, you can do this also, but we'll keep this for later for learning some more advanced concepts. So I'll mark them these two as completed for now. This one, fourth one is this test case verifies the response is within the time set as per the benchmarking. So we have seen this already again in snippets session. So I keep this also as completed. And today we are going to learn about the test verifies the API response with a mandatory and optional parameters. So we are talking about some parameters that needs to be given as input to the request. So that's what we are going to learn. And the concepts which we are going to learn by this session is we are going to learn about parameterization, how to use variables, and this is a wide session, so I'll split it into different parts, wherein we'll also learn about data-driven testing and we'll discuss about all types of variables. But first, let's talk about the present session. The present session is about parameterization. Parameterization of API requests in Postman, right? So I have created one request, but before we go and talk about that concept, let's try to read the test case and see what you have to do in order to achieve it. We are talking about verify the API response with mandatory and optional parameters. So let's go back to the old request. So this request is talking about um, that we are going to see the list of users which are there in page 2. That's what this is all about. So you got the list of users. There are total 12 users. For example, mm, you may have to verify the list of users in page 1 also. So then you change the value to 1 and you will verify the page 1 records. So likewise, you may have to have verify the users that are there in many pages. So for example, if you want to verify in page 4, so page 4 doesn't have much records. What did it say? Okay, fine. It doesn't have much records, I guess. But yeah. So similarly, page 3, no, right? So basically what you do is you'll see the factor what is changing here. This is the factor what is it changing here. So you will get an idea that you wanted to pass a different value each time uh, at this point. So the idea is that you replace this with a variable so that using that variable you can pass a value each time when you run the request. So the idea is like the basic idea you'll get is replace it with a variable, and the variable will take different values when it is run at different points in times instead of every time editing this field as 1, 2, 3 and so on, right? So now I'm going to replace this value with a variable. So I have created a test and replaced the value 1 with page number, and you see page number is a global variable. You can see G here, right? So that means it's a global variable. So we'll talk about what are the different types of variables in Postman in a different session. So now I can pass different values to this variable, right? So I just go to settings, sorry, not settings. I go to the variables from here. I see one is set over here, right? So now it will run and give the results for page number 1. Now I can set it to 2 and I run it. Now this is run for page number equal to 2. So I replace the variable and I am passing different value to the variable each time instead of creating the request differently for page 1, 2 and so on. And but you may get one doubt like, so what's the point here? If though even though I replace the variable, each time I have to change the variable value over here, right? So it's going to take same approach, moreover like what it was. Instead of changing the value inside the variable which is over there, I'm just changing the value here. This looks like more easy for me, right? So what's the added advantage? The added advantage is that here, ideally, um, you either end up in creating 10 requests with 10 different values like page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you will end up running all the 10 test cases in a different case. But wherein if you do it this way, what you can do is you can associate this variable with a value from a different data sheet. So from the data sheet, you can pass different values to this variable which is in the same request. You don't have to create multiple requests for each page number 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is extension to some other concept which is going to come later, which is, let's say, it's a data driven testing approach. So this concept will take you closer to the data driven approach wherein you can repeat the test multiple times with different data sets with the help of variables. So this all process is called parameterization. Okay, so this is about parameterization, but let me give you one more example to understand better way about the parameterization. So let's go back to the presentation. So parameterization word, if somebody asks you parameterization, you can't explain this longer way like how I have explained. So let's keep it simple to understand what is parameterization. Parameterization is a mathematical word basically. It is nothing but to derive an equation out of a pattern. So that is called parameterization. That is called parameterization. So parameterization is nothing but deriving a parametric equation in order to find a solution to a given problem. So even in this example also, what you have done is this is also sort of equation with the variables. So parameterization variables are inseparable things. So you can achieve parameterization only with the help of variables, which means you are going to create an equation which will solve many problems. Like you want to run this equation with 1, it is fine. You want to find a solution for 2, then this is the same equation. So the equation is something which you don't have to change. This is an equation with the variables, but this is not an equation. Every time you have to change something. Like you have to keep 2, you have to keep 3, you have to keep 4. So you have to keep on changing. But this is the equation that's once and for all. You don't have to change it. So parameterization is actually deriving an equation, um, in order to find a solution for uh, many patterns, right? So in this example, let's try to understand from the mathematical example itself. So the problem is find sum of n natural numbers. So you let's say that S is the sum of n natural numbers, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus up to n. So what I'm going to write is I'm going to write the numbers in the reverse order, even though I add these numbers in the reverse order also will lead to the same result. So again, it is going to be S for me. So what I have done is I have written in the reverse order. Now I am going to add these two. Then they gave me a pattern like this. So finally S plus S become 2S and N plus 1, N minus 1 plus 2, again N plus 1, N minus 2 plus 3, N plus 1. This continues, N minus 2 plus 3, N plus 1, and minus 1 plus 2 and plus 1. This continues till how many times? You have n natural numbers, right? This will continue n times. So finally what will become is 2s equal to n into n plus 1. So finally sum of the n natural numbers is n into n plus 1 by 2. So this is called parameterization. So what you have done is you have tried to understand the pattern of the sum of the 2 digits, sum of the 3 digits, 4 digits, and similarly you try to derive an equation to find the sum of n natural numbers. So this is nothing but parameterization. So you have derived an equation for a given pattern and you tried to imply this equation to find solution for different uh, parameters. So n is a variable here. Similarly, page number in our example is a variable. This is an equation. Similarly, in our case, this is going to be an equation. So this is called parameterization. So parameterization is nothing but a way of finding a solution with the help of variables, which is um, applicable to many different problems with a different sets of parameters, but leading to the same result. So that's how you can say parameterization. So, okay, this is a variable. You just replace it variable. And let me give another example wherein in in practical projects, what happens is you may have to test. Okay, in the previous sessions, we have seen that what is the URI consists of. This is query parameters, this part which comes after question mark. This will be the original API. This will be your base URL where you can host the APIs, right? This can be different. You can change the host, but this will be the API. So sometimes you may have to run this test in a different URL altogether. So in that case, what you can do is it is good idea to replace this URL also with a variable, right? So um, what you can do is if you replace this URI with another parameter, let me call it as base URI, and let me create one more global variable, base URI, and I give this over here. Let me see here, unresolved variable, base URI. Sorry, I didn't save it. Okay, this is global variable now. So I run this, again I get the same result. So this means you can generalize the URL which you wanted to, so that now this generalized URI can be executed for different page numbers at different URIs servers. It will be the same API. So all you have to change is you just have to change the variables over here, right? This can be linked to the test data sheet later, which will make it even more easier and which will allow to run you even more different flavors of the test cases. So that is the concept of parameterization and where do you use it. And in the coming session, we'll discuss about what are the different types of variables, mm, and also the data-driven testing. Okay, thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching the video. For more videos like this, do subscribe to the channel and share it to your friends. You can also visit the playlist in the channel, and those who like to read the content can visit the blog 4verstales.blogspot.com. And for any queries or you want to join us, drop an email to sharetesttube@gmail.com. Bye for now. Stay tuned for more content.